Hey, this is Danny with GrowWealthWithin.com, and I'm here today with Dontae Scott, who is an investor, a house flipper, and I would let you introduce yourself, Dontae. Can you give us a quick 2-minute you?
Hey, I'm Dontae Scott. I'm the owner of All Four Solutions, a real estate group. As we said, we do flipping, wholesaling, creative financing. So we don't necessarily put ourselves in one box. We don't want to just say that we are flippers, but we find solutions to real estate problems. I've been investing in real estate since end of 2015, beginning of 2016 now. So going on about 3 years now, I've been investing in real estate and I love it. I love it. It's definitely been a roller coaster, but I wouldn't ask for anything else.
So what is it you love about it?
I love the creativity.
Oh, yeah.
I love the creativity. I love the process of being able to challenge myself because a lot of times, you can get into this routine, and that routine can, of course, turn into complacency. So I love the fact that I can constantly challenge myself, which I feel is like the catalyst for growth.
That's a good one. So when you challenge yourself, are you talking about challenging things you haven't done yet, or challenging trying to find solutions on a rehab you're doing or a project you're doing?
I guess it's an aggregate of all of those. It's like challenging myself to think outside of my comfort zone, outside of my perimeter, because different situations calls for different solutions, and you may not be accustomed to those solutions.
Yeah.
Those solutions may actually be outside of your realm of thinking, right, or your current knowledge. So, that's really where I'm going with that, as far as just challenging those perimeters.
Nice. Yeah, it's funny because a lot of the investing that I teach, half of it is all mindset. And it's exactly what you just mentioned. It's like identifying all this stuff is outside my comfort zone.
Yeah.
And if I can't charge towards that edge, that boundary of what I'm good at or what I know, you're never going to get anywhere.
Really. Yeah,
Awesome. So right now, you said you're doing creative finance, you're doing flips. How many deals have you done?
so far, I've done close to about 20 deals since my career. Yeah.
Nice. Yeah. And your career, you said from 2015, I believe you said. So that's
In the
3 years?
2015, so about the beginning of 2016 is really where I started my career. And of course, that's on the job training. So that's education along the way of actually
Yep.
going out there.
Yeah, I'd have to say the majority of the training I got is by making a decision to go and then just getting beat up along the way.
Getting beat up along the way. So I'm finally at a stage now where everything is systemized and I'm starting to see how systems work. So but all of that, the education, the actual execution work, that's all been about 3 years. Yeah.
Awesome. So I know that we've known each other for about your whole investor career because we met at a class
Yeah.
about 3 years ago. And I've had the pleasure of watching you kind of just come out of your shell and really dig into investing and do it. So I might be one of the few who have seen the before and the after. Would you mind telling us a little bit about how you got started and any kind of struggles you had to get over?
Yeah, definitely. So, like you said, we met in the beginning, and of my knowledge, or I guess the opening of real estate, and it started from just going to a meetup group,
Yep.
being on the computer, looking at it. Really, I knew I wanted to do something different. I knew I wanted things to change, so I was looking at meetup groups, seeing this real estate class, and I went there. And when I went there, the instructor was cool. The education I think was there, but more importantly, it was just the peers that were around me and
Mm.
their energy. And they were so hyped up, and everybody was so on this mission to create wealth through the form
Mm.
of real estate. So that really got me going. That really motivated me. Signed up for the class and started educating myself, and that's kind of the nutshell of how it started.
Would you mind sharing a little bit about your first deal, like how you found the opportunity,
Uh-huh.
why you went for it, and how it went down?
Absolutely, and that was a creative. Actually, my first deal, so super dope, was actually a commercial deal.
What? That's awesome.
Yeah, it was super dope. And why I like that deal the most is because my peers, again, we used to have a group like a group tank meeting, like a mastermind meeting.
Right.
And I remember getting this opportunity. I used to call on Craigslist, and that's what everybody was doing at the time. There were still deals on Craigslist. And so remember calling on Craigslist, ended up stumbling across this commercial property that was for rent, and met up with the owner, convinced him to give me a lease with the option to purchase. And at zero down, no down payment for the lease option.
Nice.
And I remember not knowing anything about commercial property, bro. I didn't know anything. I was like figuring it out. So I remember being on YouTube, cranked up off coffee like all night long. And my business partner at the time, Oscar, we're just really feeding off of each other and like scared. We don't know what to do. And I remember bringing it to the group, and the group that's commercial. It's another ball game. It's not residential. We're learning residential. And then, again, thinking outside of your perimeters. And I didn't understand the difference between really residential and commercial at that time. I just knew numbers. And to me, it made sense. So with that deal, honestly, I don't even know how I ran comps, man, but I literally just pulled that out of like the hat, man, and convinced the owner to give me a 5-year lease option with an escalated price increase of 2%. I had an appraisal done and realized that the market had been growing in that particular area at like 8% increase annually. So what I did is within a week, I got that property under contract. I sandwich leased option that property, and I made the new tenant slash option holder pay me $10,000 down payment.
Nice.
So, and then my agreement was to rent the property out at $1,100 a month. I subleased it and subleased optioned it at $1,600 a month, which I was able to cash flow from. So $500 a month of cash flow. So I received $10,000 down, $500 cash flow, which I'm still cash flowing off of today.
Still cash flowing off today, because that's what my next question was going to be. I heard you say 5-year option. So I was going to say, do you still have it today? And how do you think it's going to turn out, another 2 years from now?
So it can turn out because prices have increased. So right now I got built-in perceived equity, and I say perceived because, of course, I'm just controlling the property right now. At this point, I don't necessarily own it, but I am controlling it. So what I can sell it at and what I have agreed to buy it at is around like 50,000, spread. And so it's like, if at any points my end tenant wants to buy it, then that'd be a good one for me. I can cash out and be through with that. But if not, I can play on my option, man. And like I said, I've been cash flowing $500 a month from this property, and it'll be for the last, for the past 5 years. So and I put no money down.
So 0 down, and you're making $500 a month, and you got $10,000.
Yeah.
Nicely done. That's kind of the deal that everyone dreams of, right? Like that's what everyone's always talking about. So what a hell of a first deal. Cool. So you said you've done like 20 deals now. What's your bread and butter these days?
So I love flipping, right? I love flipping, but honestly, the bulk of my money has been from wholesaling.
Oh, really?
Yeah. And I've been fortunate enough to have real good wholesale deals. When I say, so the numbers have really made sense as far as, just a return on your investment, because of course you're putting no money down, so you're getting all money in. I love flipping. I love the whole process of flipping, but the bulk of my money has come from wholesale deals. So,
and just for people who are listening who might not know what wholesaling is, can you give us a quick recap?
So wholesaling is basically me being the wholesaler. And let's use you as an example and say you are a seller of your property, and I convince you to sell me a property at $60,000. We come to an agreement at $60,000. Say the property is worth $100,000 and needs $10,000 in fix up. I then will go to an end buyer, get the property under contract with you at $60,000, sell the contract or assign the contract to the end buyer saying, hey, I have a property worth $100,000 that needs $10,000 at fix up, right? I'll sell it to you for $70,000.
Okay. And this person would be, sorry, you say end buyer, but you mean like a flipper, a rehabber.
A rehabber, I apologize. Yeah, a rehabber. And basically what I would do is take my spread. So if I got it under contract for 60,000 and I sold it for 70,000, that $10,000 spread is my assignment fee for assigning the contract to the flipper. And so
Nice.
that's the basic the nutshell or of what a wholesale deal looks like.
Right. So you just have that bit of a spread there.
Yeah.
So
And
cool.
that
So
could be $500, $5,000, $50,000. You know, it's just really how you structure the deal because you're brokering in between the two. You're playing the middleman between the owner of the property who wants to sell and the rehabber who wants to flip the property and resell
right.
it.
And really so I always try to look for what's the problem we're solving when it comes to investing. So it sounds like in that one right there, the problem you're solving is you're finding the properties. You're finding properties that are undervalued and need some fixing, and then you're connecting them to the people who want to do the fixing.
Absolutely. Yeah.
So it's not just magically you created $10,000. It's also you're getting paid for the work you've been doing.
You're definitely getting paid for the work because there's a lot of work. And I know I see a lot of things on the internet with, should wholesalers get paid this much? Yeah, absolutely. Because it's a lot of work.
A lot of work. Yeah. Honestly, every time I've kind of done wholesaling or I have to admit, attempted to do wholesaling, I've done a lot of work trying to find a property and making a lot of calls. And I really didn't get anywhere personally. But I happen to know this amazing guy, Dontae Scott, who is making it work. And so it really gave me a lot of appreciation for what it is you do when it comes to wholesaling and what it takes to be a good wholesaler. Because they're hard to find.
They're definitely hard to find. And also, and just touching on that part of being a good wholesaler is making sure that you create a win-win-win situation. And that's not always easy. And so sometimes it has to be, win-win, and I just take a little bit of a loss here so that all the parties be happy, So definitely.
Yeah. And a lot of guys don't get that. They're so busy trying to get their cut that they're basically not realizing that everybody has to win.
Yeah.
And if someone's getting screwed, it's not a deal.
Yeah. And if anyone gets screwed in that deal, it's not a deal. Right.
Yep. So is wholesaling still your bread and butter right now, or are you moving into flipping? Where do you want to be? What's next for you?
For me, I have a dope group. Eventually, I want to get into development. So that's the end goal. I want to get into development. As I said, I love flipping. I love the total process of flipping. I love the creativity that's involved with flipping, and just the whole ideology of being able to just turn something of distress into something that's so beautiful. Right?
Yeah. And I've seen some of your before and afters, and they're friggin' gorgeous.
I love that whole process. But the majority of my money, so how I operate is if a deal makes sense, that's why I say I don't put myself in just one quadrant and say, hey, I'm a flipper. And then I solve real estate solutions. And I create real estate solutions.
Yep.
So it's just what solution or what strategy, and when I say strategy, acquisition strategy, fits the problem the best and will yield the best result.
Yep.
And so that's how I approach most of my deals. So we get the deal in front of us. Hey, it may not work as a wholesale deal, but it may work as a flip, or it may not work as a flip, but it'd be good as a lease option, or maybe a buy and hold property. So I don't really like to, circumvent myself and put myself in those categories. But as I was saying, flipping is the thing that I love the most. Wholesaling has been lately, especially this year and last year, been bringing in the bulk of the money.
Nice. Okay, so do you basically? I have a question about how do you create opportunity and how do you create deal flow? And I'm going to go out on a limb and I'm going to say that since you were wholesaler first, it sounds like you might be creating your own deal flow.
Absolutely. And that's kind of what I've done, honestly, just with my whole team and the whole system, is that we just have an internal engine. We have it coming all in-house. And we can take all the flips that we want, and then the inventory that we don't want, we can wholesale it. A lot of the connection is missed sometimes with flippers and buyers. And so they have to rely on, the wholesalers, but to be able to build a whole team based from a wholesaler's perspective with a flipper's experience has been just my greatest advantage so far.
Awesome. So what, in your eyes or in your words, what does it mean to be a successful investor?
Well, success, that's an arbitrary term.
I know, it's a hard question, right? So, okay, what does success look like to you? Let's start there.
Me, success would be to, that's a good question. Success for me, honestly, would be able to see my business run without me having to do anything on it and to see it
Good one.
duplicated.
Yeah, that's a really good one.
So I really want to change wholesaling. I want to change the face of what wholesaling is and create a business model behind wholesaling where we can actually be able to franchise a wholesaling system.
Oh,
Instead,
nice.
so
That's basically what We Buy Ugly Houses does.
yeah,
That's a franchise, right? A wholesale franchise.
I think they don't wholesale though, they flip.
Well, but they do all the advertisement.
Yeah.
And so, like those billboards that say "We Buy Ugly Houses," someone buys a franchise for their area or zip codes, and then all those signs, whoever calls those signs, it goes to you,
Yeah,
and you can do whatever you want from there. But
absolutely.
it's basically creating all that deal flow.
Definitely creating it like that. And not necessarily do I really want to franchise my business, but I want to be able to have it duplicated. And I think that would be
Mhm.
success if I know my whole system can be duplicated, can
Nice.
walk just like that. And so that's really what I feel like success in my industry or for me personally would be to have a system that can be easily duplicated.
Wow, that's awesome. That's so awesome. And it sounds like you're pretty much embracing the 10x rule. I'm not sure if you've read Grant Cardone.
I love that book, man. And I was just talking to my team about that. So we have our, our weekly meetings, and I was just talking to them about just stepping it up, man, stepping it up to the next level. Because a lot of times we get caught in our own web, and
Yeah.
we will limit ourselves just by our limited beliefs. And so I believe, like, just like they said in the Grant Cardone book, it does take 10 times as much as work, to complete it. So you
Yeah.
might as well create those systems. You might as well implement those systems now. If
Yep.
you're going to be making 10 calls, step it up to 100. If you're going to be doing 3 interviews, step it up to 30,
Yep.
and so I love that whole philosophy. I have my team. They love the philosophy. And that's the culture that we've been, creating here. It's been really pretty much based off the 10X rule.
Sweet. Yeah, that's an incredible book. So here's a question for you. Uh, I would view you as very successful at the moment. Like Dontae today is running a successful business.
Yes.
Uh, if you could give yourself a couple pieces of advice back when you were starting, back when we first met, what advice would you give yourself?
If I can give myself advice back then, I mean, today, back then, you mean?
Yeah, everything you know now, what would you tell yourself?
Um, to um, immediately reach out to others and like get out of the habit of being a solopreneur. Yeah, I'm just telling you, like you you need people in this industry,
Mm-hmm.
and whether it's resources, whether it's knowledge, whatever it is, man, you need it. And that's the biggest thing I think I've learned, and I wish I would have learned then, is that it takes a community to
Mm.
really do business, man. You can't do it by yourself. You
Nope.
can do this by yourself. You need a team. And if I would have knew that then, I think I would be even better off today, because so long for, at least 2.5 years, I've just tried to do it all by myself. And it just, yes, I've reached certain levels of success, I would say, but nowhere near, where I see my business going now.
Mm.
So that would be my biggest thing, is really attach myself to some dope people, some positive people, some go-getters, right? And build a team, build a team and play off each other's strengths as fast as possible.
Yeah, the way I say that in my program is investing is a team sport. And so you got to make sure you got good people on your team. And if you have no team, I mean, you're not going to get anywhere. If you think of like when a football team walks out onto the field, if the other team walks out and it's one guy, come on, who do you think is going to win? You got to have a team.
I have a team. So that would be my biggest thing I would tell myself.
Sweet. So I'm going to start wrapping up here, and I have a couple questions that I ask everybody.
Okay.
So my company's name is Grow Wealth Within,
Mm-hmm.
and our philosophy is to invest in yourself, others, and our collective futures.
Absolutely.
And so I was going to ask you, how do you invest in yourself?
and constantly educating myself. Uh,
Mm.
I'm a student. I'm a life student, and I recommend that to everyone. You know, and it's not just reading; it's studying. It's and I don't get into religion. As far as having a religious conversation, but whatever it is to make you become a better you, constantly investing in that. So if that is church, going more to church. If it's working out, working out more. If it's education, educating yourself more. So um, for me personally, yes, self-development. And I'm
Mm.
constantly studying. I'm constantly becoming a student. I'm constantly upgrading my knowledge to what's going on around me. So yeah.
So are you like reading anything or listening to any podcasts right now? Like what are you focused on right now?
I'm actually reading the 10X rule.
Oh, nice.
My briefcase with me. I'm actually reading the 10X, so that's dope. And then lately, I just been studying up on more material as far as because I want to get my contractor's license. So
Oh,
just been
cool.
studying up on that. Yeah, definitely getting that going. But that's what I've been reading so far. The 10X rule.
Sweet. So along those same lines, again, invest in yourself, others, and our collective futures. How do you invest in others?
I think the best way I've been able to invest in others is um, just giving them knowledge and
Mm.
and besides giving them knowledge, challenging them to apply that knowledge. And that's been my like biggest asset that I've been able to give to anyone is that, hey, listen, okay, you got this knowledge. Now I'm gonna dare you to do something with it. And
Yeah.
at least for my team, I can speak to most of them because they're the most consistent people in my lives at this point. That's constantly on the agenda. What are we doing? Why aren't you pushing? What's stopping you? And really just challenging them to be the person that they say they want to be. And
Mm.
times like we as friends or as relatives, as business associates, we allow someone to be average. And
Oh, yeah.
I think that's so, we allow our friends, to make statements and have goals, but don't hold them accountable to any of
Hmm.
it. And I feel like the biggest asset that you can be in someone's life is their accountability. You know,
Yeah.
that they're doing the shit, excuse my language, that they're supposed to be doing or that they say that they want to do.
Right. So you're challenging them and you're holding accountable. And I really like what you just said about, are we letting our friends be average? Like, wow, that's incredible. And I've been on the receiving end of that with you a few times. So I can definitely say for anybody watching, you clearly walk your talk on everything you just said. So, and it's been an honor just to be in proximity of you because when I'm around you, I feel challenged, which is awesome.
And that's
So
like, you know the feeling. You blow my mind back with some of your ideas, man, and just your systems and your creativity and just your work ethic. So as much as you feed off me, bro, just know we've been feeding off you for a while, bro. Big like buffet style, bro. Seriously.
well, thank you for that. So the last question of that little motto is, how do you invest in our collective futures? And that could be the world at large, the community. It could be your smaller community. It could be your circle of friends. How do you invest in our collective future?
So I'm gonna go with something that means a lot to me right now is my community, the community that we are in. So we just moved to this community on the west side of Las Vegas, and I feel like the best way that we can invest in this community, bro, is through exposure.
Hmm.
A lot of times, it's not, it's a paradigm shift, and that shift can be you know ex- that shift can happen just through exposure, just knowledge of people knowing what's going on and exposing them to different things. So I feel like that's the best way that my team, and that's actually our goal here, is to expose the community to the opportunities of real estate.
Hmm.
And and everything that comes with it. So by doing our projects, like we're starting a new thing where when we start doing our flips, we're actually and it won't be like of course, like things that need a licensed practitioner, a licensed worker, but whether it's landscaping, whether it's some painting, whether it is getting the community involved in these projects so they can take pride into home ownership, they can take pride into their community, It's almost like the broke glass theory. So that's what we've been trying to do here. Is just listen, take a sense of pride into it, and be exposed to what's going on instead of constantly seeing investors come in and out of your community, make money in and out of your community, and you just sit there, in this dilapidated situation.
So you're trying to create a win for the people in the community whenever you do a deal.
Absolutely, and
That is awesome.
that way they could be a part of, actually have money flowing through their community. They could be a part of the project and then take pride in it afterward. Which will
Wow.
probably make more individuals around there like do different things as far as like just, and like I say, it's just exposure. If we expose them to it, because a lot of times we go into these neighborhoods and yeah, we might meet a few neighbors or so, but it's just really, hey, can you watch, the property, make sure things aren't really going on, and introducing yourself about your business. But as investors, a lot of times we're not getting the community involved,
Mm.
and it's like, and that's the problem here is, yes, I'm in the community, but the community has kind of been diminished and kind of been erased, and I'm trying to draw it back, and
Yeah.
I'm trying to show them what a community actually means again. So that's can be my biggest investment, is just exposure.
Hmm. And if you don't mind me bringing it up, I feel like knowing you, one of the things that you've been pushing for is to be the role model that you never had.
Absolutely.
And it sounds like a lot of what you just said was exactly that. Is there anything you'd like to say about, where you came from and being a role model in general?
Just the bridge version. Grew up, in the inner city. Grew up in gangs. Got in a lot of trouble as a child. Went to prison as a juvenile. Spent a third of my life in prison, um, as an adolescent to a teenager to an adult. So yeah, you're right. I didn't have that exposure, um,
Hmm.
and my actions were conducive to my beliefs at that time. So what I would say for me and for anyone else, like um, it's a paradigm shift, bro. What
Hmm.
helped me was knowledge. What helped me was exposure. Man. I got exposed to different people. I got exposed to different cultures. I got exposed to different ideas and different opportunities. Um, and that exposure literally changed my mind and,
Mm.
and my actions forward, you know?
Yeah, yeah. And now I see you giving that right back, which I think is so incredible.
You have to, bro. Everybody's talking about the harvest, man, but it's a seed conversation,
Wow, awesome. So that's it for me at the moment. I'm wondering if maybe we might be able to get you back on the show sometime in the future and maybe do like a case study or something like that and just kind of dig in a little bit, less of a lighter pass on investing and more of digging into a deal or something like that. Would you be
I
interested?
would love that walkthrough, or like actually going through a project, and then next time to meet my team. Like you got it,
Yeah.
because like it's me and it's cool, but like all four solutions wouldn't be all four solutions without my crew. I'm just being totally honest with you. I'm a small, piece to the puzzle.
Yeah.
Them, we wouldn't be anything. Like, and that's just being honest with you. Like the whole culture is built on us together. So the next interview would definitely like to have them on, my crew here, and just, to be able to speak with them, because they, of course, learn the best in just going, through the education the same way you and I did, just
Hmm.
hands on, learning. So I would love that.
Awesome. So if anybody was watching this and they felt like I might have an opportunity for Dante, what would that opportunity look like? If I'm watching this, what would I need to know to say, oh, I should probably contact Dante with this opportunity?
Yeah, I'm on Facebook, of course. All Four Solutions, ALL, the number four, SOLUTIONS. All Four Solutions. If you Google that, you can reach me on Facebook. You can reach me at Dante at allfoursolutions.com, or you can, even come to my office. I'm at the Urban Chamber of Commerce, Suite 38. Just come. The only thing that I would say, if anyone's coming to me, whether they're looking for knowledge or they have questions or anything, is that I'm not the one that instructs, like I guide. So through action, so you just got to be ready to work. You got to be ready to put in the work. And if you're not ready to put in the work, I'm not the one. I don't sell information. I don't know how to sell information. I build relationships. So
Hmm.
if you're not on that, there's nothing I can do for you,
So show up ready to get started.
So ready to get started. Like,
That's awesome.
much easier.
Awesome. Okay. Well, thank you so much for your time, Dante. And I'm looking forward to do another interview with you in the future where we dig into the nitty gritty.
All right. Thank you so much, Danny, and you have a wonderful day.